Hi everybody, welcome to Unit 3, Digital Literacy. And in this unit we'll be discussing what digital literacy is, why it's important, who teaches it, what kind of impact it has on education. So I'm hoping by the end of the unit that you'll be able to explain what digital literacy is, describe some elements and some online tools and apps that are used to teach digital literacy skills, and how digital literacy fits in with the context of other types of literacy skills. So that's where we're headed over the course of this unit. It's a really important unit because people are using terms interchangeably. Last unit, in Unit 2, we learned about information literacy, and you posted your information literacy resources on the Padlet. And that's a good chance to focus on the definition of that term, information literacy, which really aims at helping students gain information, whether it's print or digital, figuring out if that information is useful and using it to answer questions. Well, sometimes people say digital literacy is that same thing, but technically it's quite different. So I want you to be familiar with what those differences are, but at the same time, I will say there are people floating different definitions of digital literacy out there. So it's kind of a convoluted area right now with all of these different literacies coming forth, and people aren't quite sure how to use that term. So we're going to explore one way to explain digital literacies in the context of information literacy. And then in Unit 4, we're going to add web literacy. So in order to do that, like in our last unit, you heard from Michael Eisenberg and Kolfua about their different views of information literacy. Well, this time we're going to hear from Sami and Belshaw about their views of digital literacy. So no one right answer here, but I want you to know what some of the possibilities are. So I'm going to have you read just a little bit from Dustin Sami's book, Developing Digital Literacies. I just chose not to use this book as our textbook because it's really about providing professional development for your colleagues at your school, and that's not really what our course is about. But there's some good information. He's promoting a view of digital literacies that looks at these different areas, these 5 areas, and he's combined the verbs of digital literacy. So finding information, sharing it with other people, organizing it, creating things from that information, including reusing or repurposing information that we find. So it's very closely linked to information literacy, but in Sami's definition of digital literacy, all of the gathering and the creating, it's all done digitally. And so he's really looking at the things that we do online and with apps and these digital tools, things that we do with those tools and how those things help us learn and share information with other people. Then I'm also going to have you watch a video from Doug Belshaw, who's from London, and he promotes his view of digital literacies, and it's quite different from Sami's, although he's still focusing on the digital part of digital literacy. So he has the 8 essential elements, and you'll see he's taken the alliteration here with the C, use of the C words. So he's focusing on thinking, communicating, creating, similar to Dustin Sami, but he's adding in the cultural influence, the critical thinking, and the confidence that a learner needs to be able to use these digital literacy. So a different view, still interesting. So I'm going to have you pull together from the things that you're reading from Sami's book, from our textbook in chapters 5 and 6, and from viewing Doug Belshaw's work. And I'm going to have you create a summary like we've done the last couple of units. This time though, I'm going to give you a choice. You can either write your summary or you can create a Wordle or a word cloud. I've shared with you in this week's checklist the Wordle website, but there's also Tagxedo, and I think there's some other word cloud websites. You're welcome to use one of those. It's just kind of a fun way to get at the big ideas from the chapter. And so in the assignment description, it explains how to create a Wordle if you haven't done that before. And I'll have you post an image of your Wordle in the discussion board and then respond to other students. I'm also going to ask you to share one of your favorite digital tools. And this doesn't have to be something new and fancy. It could be something simple. It could be Google Drive or something that you use every day, or it could be something new that you've tried out or that you want to try out and explore. And it can be a website or an app. So in the assignment description, there's a link to a Google Doc, and that's where you'll post your favorite digital tool. Be sure to take a look at that before you post yours, because I want everybody's tool to be different. I've posted an example of one of my favorite digital tools, Zotero. It's a tool I like to use when I'm doing projects. So as you're working on your inquiry project, you might want to use Zotero as a place to store the articles or books that you find for your inquiry project. It's kind of a cool place to keep track of things that you find online or on paper. It also can be used to create citations, although I encourage you to use that with great caution, because citation producing websites don't always follow the same APA format that we're using, but Zotero does offer you the chance to do that. So you'll pick your tool and post that on the Google Doc. And then I'm going to ask you to create a list of resources that you want to use for your inquiry project. So in Unit 2, you generated your question, you added your rationale, so now hopefully you've been thinking about this project. Now it's time to go out and look for some resources to help you with the project. And those can be books, websites, journal articles, and in the assignment description, I do encourage you to utilize the services of the ESU library. If you go on during the day, and I think the early evening, librarians do live chats and they can help you find things. If you find something that you think looks like it would be really helpful, the library can get that for you. If they have it already, they can mail it to you. If they don't have it already, they can get it through interlibrary loan. So that'd be something kind of to jump on right away so that you have that resource. I strongly encourage you to use that. You are paying for that service in your tuition and fees, so please do take advantage of that service. So for your inquiry project part 2, you're going to create your reference list. Be sure to go back to the APA style activity that you did where I gave you feedback and utilize that feedback so that you can make your reference list as accurate as it can be. As you're working on this list, if you run into ones that you're not sure of, some kind of source that you're not sure what the APA style is right, be sure to ask. I'm glad to help you. I'm glad to give you suggestions for that, and that's what you'll turn in. Now, as you're working on your project, you may decide, okay, I had this article on my inquiry part 2 list, but now I've decided it's not really matching my project. It's fine for you to change that list as you work more on your project. This assignment is just to get you started, so you at least need to have some resources identified. But as always, please do ask questions as you move through this unit. Thanks.